Hi, everybody. I'm Sue Johnson. I am 70 years old. I'm a retired counselor and I'm married, happily married. All our children are launched and gone. Let me tell you about senior income, senior budgets, and what it's like, at least from my point of view, for me. First of all, my husband and I have been involved, or we were involved in careers that were giving to people all the time, feeding into their lives. Counseling is about that. It's about helping other people. My husband was also a pastor slash electrician. He had both. And when I met him, he was focusing on his electrical side. Neither one of us, or let's put it this way, both of us were self-employed. I had contracts, counseling contracts with companies that would give me clients to counsel, and then I had private clients. So we had savings, and we've basically used up most of our savings. So here's what's happened recently. I was hoping for some kind of increase in income because living on your government pensions is not enough. And everybody would attest to that. Everybody in Canada and the US would agree that it's not enough. So we knew we had to have something extra. So I took on a part-time job after retiring from counseling, and my husband took on a part-time job as well. His was in pastoral care. So one reason I did not continue with counseling is because the government changed regulations as to who could counsel, what the requirements were. It used to be okay to just have a master's and then you could counsel. But they changed that. They changed a lot of stuff and they made it increasingly financially difficult to keep up a practice. And I turned 65, so I thought, well, okay, I will retire from a career in counseling. My husband, at the time working as an electrician, also was at the end of government changes and restrictions. It was no longer good enough to be an electrician with a license and a lot of experience. Having done all your trade requirements, he started out as an electrician when he was a young fellow in Belfast, came to Canada, eventually went into the ministry, experienced some difficulties in his marriage, gave up his ministry, and went back to being an electrician. So he became a Canadian electrician, licensed. But in our senior years, the government changed regulations and they required all electricians to have a master's electrician license, which meant for him going back to school. I'm having a heat up. It's a senior moment. So recently, my husband's part-time job as in pastoral care with the church, they restructured. And I think they restructured partly because of financial constraints and changes. And looking at my husband at the time, 81, they figured, well, he's probably an easy one to let go. They never said so, but that's my impression, my feeling about it. So they let him go. So that cut our income by 2/3. Basically, he's only on pension, government pension. That's it. Then my part-time job started restructuring, cutting hours. I went from 20 hours a week to 10 hours a week, and most recently, 2 hours a week at minimum wage. I lost, when the government of Ontario or Canada changed the minimum wage, I lost all of my increases over the last 5 years. I complained about it, but they said, well, we're creating a level field with all the merchandisers here. So so I've lost basically 2/3 of my income. It's my supplemental income as well. At a time where everything is increasing, our rent increased, groceries are increasing, gas prices increased. The only thing that didn't increase was my car payment because I'm on a 5-year contract, which is up in a year or so. And we've reduced as much as we can. Fortunately, I found out about TELUS. It's great. They have a senior plan for people with their cell phones. So our cell phone, unlimited use, no overages at all, is $25 a month. And so we each have that. And with tax, it's like $28. I reduced our house Wi-Fi. cost-wise, half of what we used to pay. So we've been looking at our budget and restructuring and doing everything that we can to make changes. And then with the recent political climate and changes, who knows what's going to happen? I sort of am expecting more reductions. So it's been, it's been a challenge to know how to handle all these things. And today I'm actually feeling a little bit down about it, because I got $3 in my bank account. So I said to myself, okay, I don't have to go out and work until my 2 hours comes up for Thursday. And so I'm not going anywhere and I'm not spending any money. So that $3 is probably going to last me to the next paycheck. And I get paid on Friday. But working 2 hours at minimum wage, $17, $34 paycheck, that's not a lot of money. So I know that there's a lot of seniors who are in similar circumstances. It's not easy being a senior. So what am I doing? I'm trying to creatively focus on life, to not worry about money, because I'm 70 years old. You know what? There have been different financial crunches in my lifetime, and obviously I survived them. I'm here. So I can bank on that. Life changes, and I hope for some kind of positive change. But you have to face it creatively. You have to find a way to manage. And sometimes you just lift yourself out of the financial considerations. Don't you give it some attention, but it's not the whole of your existence. I'm still me. I'm still creative. I can still knit. Thankfully, I have lots of wool. Don't have to buy any more. I have a lot of projects in my head. I can still knit. I can still read and write and walk and spend time with my husband and enjoy a lot of aspects of life. I think when you wake up each day and you do this little assessment, where am I at? What's happening? What's the weather like? What are my obligations today? What do I have to do? When you do that assessment, you also do a mood assessment. How do I feel about everything that's going on? And if the mood is low, you have to find ways to encourage yourself. So how do I do that? Because I did mention that I'm feeling a little bit low today. First of all, I know that things will seem worse in the morning and in the evening. In the morning, it's because our system is just trying to generate, get going, get online kind of thing. So I used to say it's probably good not to make any assessments within the first hour of waking up, because your body is still trying to get together physically, mentally, and emotionally. It gets better as the day goes on. It usually does. And if it doesn't, then you need to seek, other kind of counseling help for depression and whatever you might be dealing with, even just to give expression to your thoughts and feelings, or seek the company of a good friend that you can share with. And then the other thing is, in the evening, things seem worse because a lot of your resources have been used up. You used up a lot of your dopamine, your serotonin, a lot of the feel good chemicals in your system. They're not completely depleted, but it is getting low. Your body's getting ready for that regenerative sleep that you hope to have. You hope to be able to go to sleep and not worry. And sometimes when I hit the bed and I say, and the worries come along, I say, well, listen, now is not the time to be going over these things, because you can't do anything about it. Any institutions that you could call and talk to are closed. Your friends are probably sleeping. Your spouse is probably sleeping, your partner. And it's not the time to be solving problems and fixing things. So you use distraction. You indulge in something that you enjoy. So maybe I do the bedtime story, which is watching a video, a movie, or reading a book, or listening to a podcast, something that's going to be uplifting and encouraging. And as a person, no matter what walk of life you're in, senior or not, we do need to have these resources that we can pull in, things that we know are going to give us some sense of encouragement, to help lift the mood, to help us feel like, okay, I've got enough energy to manage this. So years ago, as a single parent, when I was struggling financially, I remember saying to myself once, look, do you think you can manage this one day alone? And I thought, well, yeah, I guess I can get through this one day. I've got enough energy for this one day. And so you take it one day at a time and try not to look too far down the road. I wrote an article once about the road is curved for a reason. It's curved so that we don't see what's coming up necessarily, which might be disastrous or it might be something really good that's coming. We need to focus on where we're at and the resources that we have. And personally, the resources that you have to pull in to encourage yourself are the most important ones. No matter what happens financially or otherwise, you still have those, or you should. You should have that ability to know what tends to encourage, what inspires, what helps motivate you, what helps energize you, what helps keep you going. I have a lot of those things. Even just giving expression to what you're thinking and how you're feeling. You know what it does physically? It increases the oxygen to your brain, and that helps you feel better. But it can also increase your circulation, which helps increase some of the flow of the feel good chemicals in your system. So, what can I say to you? If you're dealing with financial constraints, as a lot of us are actually, we're all in this together. Pull in the resources that you know are going to help encourage you. Try not to think too far down the road. Changes always occur, hopefully for the better. And so, as a counselor, I used to always sign when I did e counseling, I always signed my letters, always expect the best. And hence the title of this whole YouTube channel, Always Expect the Best. And I analyzed that once. Why would I say that? Why always expect the best? And I thought to myself, well, why would anybody wake up and say, look, I'm not going to expect the best today. I'm expecting the worst. I'm expecting torture, disastrous things to happen. It's not a good way to face life. You want to face life with an expectation of good and hope and courage and go forward with those things. Those things you cannot put a price on. They are invaluable. And I know a lot of people would say, well, I'm just not sure how to get those going. I've mentioned a few ways. Look at who inspires you, what tends to energize you. Think about any time that you've been really happy, and it probably wasn't for most of us, wasn't a big influx of cash, although that can help. But think about the things that you already still have, and then rest in that. Allow that to give you a sense of hope and encouragement. So, if you can relate to dire straits financially, let me know. And I'm going to close this now because I already feel better. Thanks for taking the time to listen and sharing with me. Go ahead and subscribe. As my husband says, you know you want to.